All right, so let's talk about reducing posterior pelvic floor tightness. I will work with patients in office with this both during pregnancy and postpartum. I really like getting in there if I can, if they feel comfortable, at least once, maybe not that first session, but at least the second session, just to kind of palpate and see how that posterior pelvic floor is responding to movement, to load, and it's all done externally. But I wanted to show you one way that I educate my patients on how to self-release the pelvic floor posteriorly in a way that's manageable. One of them's done on the wall, and I've recorded that one if this seated one is too intense, because sometimes it's just too much of a good thing and they can't relax. So I wanted to show this to you. It's really easy release. I use yoga tuna balls because they have a little bit of a give. It's not as as like a baseball or a lacrosse ball. But a few housekeeping tips just to set the stage here. What we're going to be doing is, here's your butt crack. Here's your ischial tuberosity, basically your butt bone. Okay, you got one on each side, right? You can kind of feel it up in there. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be slipping this ball just on the inside of that ischial tuberosity. So that butt bone just on the inside, okay? Forward or back, it doesn't really matter. Most of the time I like to get the posterior pelvic floor, so just on the inside and then back, so you can kind of move around. Basically, we're trying to take, say, this hand is your ischial tuberosity. Here is your perineum. Here's your, up here is your urethra, your clitoris, all that stuff. But back here, here's your butthole. Here's your tailbone, okay? We're taking this posterior triangle and we're working right through here. Because you won't want to sit on your tailbone. You want to make sure that this is behind that tailbone or in front of that tailbone. Between that and then those ischial tuberosities, okay? So as you can tell, I am pregnant. This is a great way to birth prep as well, but also postpartum, release some tension, or if you just have a tight pelvic floor in general throughout your lifespan, this is going to do wonders, okay? So again, we're going to take this guy. So tailbone, here's my ischial tuberosities right here. I'm going to set it right there, okay? So you're going to sit down. I like to have my knees at about 90 degrees of my hips, okay? So that way I'm at kind of a right angle. And then what I do is I kind of shift over, and I feel that ball come on just on the inside of that ischial tuberosity, okay? Take a breath. Once you find it, you find it. And if you're like, oh, I don't feel anything, I want you to move around. Maybe you scoot your bum back or you pull your hips forward. Again, staying off the tailbone. You're not in your butthole, you're not on your tailbone, you're off to the side, okay? And then once you feel it, and you're going to know, you're probably hitting obturator internus or some of those posterior pelvic floor fibers. You're just going to breathe. And with every inhale, what you should feel is a little bit of distension of the pelvic floor, so maybe it gets a little bit more intense. And then as you exhale, it might get a little bit more intense as you actually sink deeper in, okay? So with each inhale, try to breathe into the lower back, breathe into the sides, breathe into the low belly. There it is. Exhale. And as you do this, you might notice that the ball sinks deeper. You might notice that that tension starts to dissipate. You might notice that maybe you need to move around again, and that's okay too. Just kind of play around with it. And then once you're done with one side, I usually do about 30 seconds. Go to the other side. Again, find that spot. It'll say things. It'll tell you what it thinks of you. And then, like I say, start that breath. But I want you to soften the shoulders, unclench your jaw, uncurl your toes, because chances are you went into it and you're like, oh man, this is gonna hurt. So just, okay. And like I say, feel around, like see if you need to roll that ball forward or roll that ball back. Breathe, relax, kind of sink into it a little bit more. And then play around with that for about 30 seconds. Let your breath work for you. This will also bring a little bit of awareness to if your pelvic floor has any dynamic capability at all. Like, do you feel it move? Do you feel the breath go down there? Anything like that? This is all feedback that we can have. Okay? Take another deep breath, all out, and then take that off and see how you feel. Move around, just test it out, see what feels good. Try to do a hinge, see if you're a little bit freer. Maybe you work the deep glutes as well. That's another video to come, but try it out, see what you think, and let me know. Bye for now.